Hello and welcome back to PlayStation Access, where today, me, Dave, is going to be talking to you, Elle.
Hello.
Hello. About Blood and Truth, which I'm very happy to say I got to play last week. I actually had a tour, sorry, Elle, of London Studio.
Pretty
kind of a big deal. Kind of a big
Yeah.
deal. It's actually the first time I've been to London Studio,
What?
which is mad because I've been working on PlayStation Access for like 7 years or something.
I feel like maybe they don't like you. If in all that time they've never invited you there.
Yeah, I mean, that was the impression I got as I left. Yeah, definitely. Don't come back here. No, I got to go to London Studio. I got to play the first mission of Blood and Truth and talk to the developers and see where they've been making the game. It was a really amazing experience, and I'm going to tell you 5 ways in which Blood and Truth makes you feel like the action hero.
I'm very excited.
I hope you're excited. So a little disclaimer before we start that. I played the game using the Move motion controllers, but it is fully playable with a DualShock as well. It's just I will be talking about my experience, which was with the Move motion controllers. So starting with number 1 is the attention to detail. It looks incredible. I mean, action movies have to look really good. It's kind of like, they've got to be polished and wow.
Yeah.
It's got to make your eyes go wow, as well as all the other bits. And one of the ways that they've got this incredible detail in the game is they've used photogrammetry, basically using high resolution photos of textures and things and then doing good, clever things.
Yeah,
you can see I learned a lot on my tour.
You're getting a little bit technical here for me.
Yeah, and that ends
down.
up in the game, and it just gives everything a very high level of detail, including or especially the other characters in the game. So the very first thing that happens in the game is that you are kind of interrogated or interviewed in a kind of a scary way, and it's quite intimidating when you have a very detailed person opposite you. Incredibly well acted, and it's like instantly in VR you're just lost in, oh god, this is a real person, this is happening. It really sells the whole idea to you straight away, and it's just because the detail is so incredibly good. All the characters have been mocapped as well, so the team went over to a big mocap studio in Sweden and mocapped the movements of everybody, but also like they had the special face cams that you wear, so you get all those little individual emotions and things. So you really like when you look at a character, and it is something that's kind of specific to VR, I think. You just really connect with them, especially when they've been so well animated, like the emotions on their face and things just really come across.
Yeah,
it's very, very cool.
Because it's incredibly detailed mocap performance. Kind of scares me a little bit.
Yeah, but it's I think it's great. I mean, it just sells you on it straight away. It's like one less barrier to just being really invested in the game. It's really, really cool. Now, speaking of characters, I'm going to do that old cliche. Let's not forget the other main character in the game, London. Which also, come on.
Nicely done.
Come on. It's a bit cliche, but London is actually one of the kind of pillars of the game. They, the developers said they all live in London, they love London, they think it's a brilliant city, they wanted to do it justice, and they've said, it's actually quite easy, because they're very good. It's very easy to make a small space feel like London, like a street or rooms and, like specific locations, but they wanted to do it justice on a grand scale as well. So I've seen a scene, for instance, where you're stood on top of a crane on the Thames.
What?
For example, and another scene in like a penthouse. And the way they achieve this detail is kind of like extensive. They flew a drone up in London. I think they had to get very special permission to do this.
I'd imagine so.
Because, they don't like it when you fly drones just everywhere in London. It's weird.
The people who shut down Gatwick?
I did mention this. I was like, how close to Gatwick were you? They did this sort of like, oh, don't worry about it. Yeah, they flew a high resolution camera up into up in central London and took photos of the skyline from that position. They've also, like that scene on the crane, for example, they built London using LADAR, which I don't know what that stands for, but it sounds a bit like radar. I saw the data, and it's kind of like the topography of it. Yeah. So a LADAR, I guess. Yeah. So it's like made an extensive like survey of central London, all the heights of all the individual buildings. Then they've got government info on like the maps of the footprint of each building. Yeah. So they know exactly where every building and all the road systems and everything. So they have all this detail.
This kind of sounds like they're actually planning a heist and this is just a cover.
So yeah, London is done a lot of justice.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's really important, and it looks incredible. Like the scene from atop the crane is just like mad. You can see police sirens in the distance reflecting off buildings in the distance, and like you can see Tower Bridge with traffic going over it, and it just looks really, really, really good. Speaking of detail, they worked with an ex-SAS soldier. Are they soldiers? They're like super soldiers,
super
operative,
soldiers, yeah.
named only as Kevin. I think if we knew his last name, we would be instantly killed.
Yeah.
Because Ryan Marks, who you play as, is an SAS soldier.
Yeah.
So they wanted to get that right. So the very first mission is kind of set during an operation somewhere with the SAS. So they wanted to make sure that they got the script right. Like, you know, you at one point are working with another SAS operative, and the way that they talk to each other, the way they move into rooms, and you know, like check them out for bad guys. You can tell I spent some years in the SAS myself. They wanted to make sure they got all that right, and of course he also helped with like the handling of the guns and stuff, which is incredibly pleasing. Like the guns are so much fun to use, and if you're using the motion controllers, you can actually, like with a weapon like an SMG, you can use your offhand to support the barrel, and it has a gameplay effect. It means the gun handles better, and you can like look down. I mean, you can look down the sights anyway, but it's amazing in VR to look down the sights of an SMG with a reflex sight, and you have to shut one eye. It's so cool.
It's my dream, especially because people make fun of me for, like, say when I'm sniping in a game, I genuinely hold my breath in real life, and everyone's like, it's too much. But now,
not now. In VR, you have to do that.
Yeah,
you have to do that,
I'm
because little tiny movements and things. I think what you actually need to do is slowly exhale.
Yeah,
that's what I've learned from movies and things. Having said all that about the detail and the incredible lengths they've gone to achieve that detail, it's also true to say, number 2, that it's supposed to be fun, not too real.
Okay.
So whilst the world looks incredibly real and detailed, and the guns handle in a realistic way, there are some creative liberties. For example, you can dual wield, and I mean dual wielding. I guess the point is they spoke to their SAS soldier, Kevin. Yeah. They said, you can dual wield in our game. And apparently he thought it was hilarious. And he was like, I can't wait to go back to the barracks and tell the lads. And to be fair, I have seen in the game, I saw dual wielding of not just pistols, but also SMGs and sawn-off shotguns.
Okay.
So maybe that is a little bit of a liberty, but it's really fun.
I want it.
Yeah, I want it too. But another kind of creative liberty they've taken is with the capacity of the weapons. So they were like, reloading isn't fun. It's more fun to shoot things than it is to reload them. Having said that, I do think that reloading in Blood and Truth is really fun, because they've made it a physical thing that you have to do, but it's simple. So you get that sort of tactile response of having done, I'm doing something and there's the game responds, but it's not actually fiddly like. So you carry your ammo on a gun, on a ammo belt, which is kind of slung across your chest, and so to reload, say I'm holding a handgun in my right hand, you just reach with your left hand to your ammo belt, pull the trigger on the move motion controller, you instantly have a clip in your hand, and then you don't have to eject the clip in your old gun, it's just gone instantly, and you just shove it in, and it's done. It's just like boom, one action.
Really streamlined.
Feels really cool. Yeah. You feel like an action hero. Yeah. It's like I have a skill that I didn't know I had, even though actually I'm not doing anything. But it just it feels really amazing.
Yeah.
When you start the game, you calibrate where the holsters are. So you have 2 hip holsters for guns, 2 back holsters for guns, and you have your ammo holster. And because I played it sitting down, because people are different body shapes and sizes, they wanted to make it so that you're reaching for the place that feels natural to you. So at the start of the game, it gets you to calibrate where you'd like the ammo to be on your chest and where on your hips. Yeah, it's great. And it just means that, again, it's like one less thing to think about. I don't have to think, where is it? I'm not looking down at my chest going, where's that ammo?
Yeah, it's just intuitive.
It's just intuitive. I know I haven't made reloading sound incredibly fun yet, but they've made it so mad. So you can take out a clip of ammo if you want, put it on the side of your gun and toss it into the air, and then catch it with your gun and reload your gun like that.
Oh my God.
Like
I'm never going to shoot though. I'll just spend the entire time doing that.
I know. Well, there's no
amazing.
need. There's no need to shoot anymore. Although if you don't shoot, you won't need to reload.
Yeah,
and that is wasteful, Al. That's wasteful of ammo. So I would recommend, a combo of the two. But the faster you shoot, the sooner you can reload, which is really, really fun. And it's not the same for every gun as well. So the automatic pistol has a clip, like I was talking about, but the revolver has a chamber, with chambers. I don't know. I'm not a gunsman. And so that kind of snaps open and you put the bullets in and it auto snaps shut, which is fine because that's handy. But if you want to be really cool, you can actually snap it shut yourself with like a little flick of the wrist.
That's what I want, yeah.
Which apparently like literally increases the speed at which you're reloading. So if you're like a bit of a novice and you're just like still getting to grips with everything and you're just stuffing bullets in, the gun will automatically like snap shut so you can fire it again.
Yeah.
But once you're getting a bit cocky,
which
is
yourself.
a pun, by the way, you can snap it shut yourself and that gives you like a time advantage because it's quicker. And if you were using the revolver, and I really love this, like in the Wild West, you can use your offhand to like bang down on the hammer and means you can fire much, much quicker.
Oh my God.
And look incredibly cool at the same time. So speaking of incredibly cool and kind of Wild West, actually, I mean, why is this in here? Because it's amazing. That's why you can press triangle at any time.
Yeah.
And instantly it means that your gun is kind of only supported by your trigger finger, which means you can just spin your gun around your finger.
No, oh my God.
You can dual wield that.
This is ridiculous. This is just like dream gunplay.
It's like unbelievable.
It's everything I could ever want from just like spinning a gun.
Yeah, I know.
That's so cool.
It requires zero skill. That's what's amazing about it. And that's like the whole point of this video really, is they've thought of all the amazing things that action heroes do that require skill. That's why they're a hero. And they let me do it in a way that feels like I'm a hero, but is actually incredibly simple. It didn't work with the assault rifle, unfortunately, because they had unlocked the underbarrel attachment, which was the grenade launcher. So pressing triangle switches to the grenade launcher, which I think we can, agree is quite, it's all right.
Yeah.
It's okay, I guess. So it really just makes you feel like an action hero, which brings me to point number 3. And this is a bit cheeky, but it feels like an action movie. Like, the way that you feel like an action hero is that you feel like you're starring in an action movie. I guess kind of the first thing to say about that is that they teamed up with a Hollywood producer who's called Rick Porras. I hope I've pronounced that right, Rick. And Elle, I think you'll be impressed when I say that he was the second unit director on the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Oh, okay.
So I mean,
they went,
That's like my favourite credit. He has other credits as well. He worked on Contact and Forrest Gump and I'm sure many, many other things. But the Lord of the Rings trilogy jumped out at me. I'm not going to lie.
Well, if we're talking cinematic.
Yes, exactly. So instantly, he's come in and worked on the script and worked on staging and I'm sure like set pieces and all kinds of things, just adding a true Hollywood take to this, this experience. What else? Your character has a voice this time. So I don't know if you played the London Heist, but in that your character didn't have a voice.
Yeah.
And I think that can be quite funny and quite fun, and they played up to it. This time they thought it was important that you had a voice so that you could have a character, and be part of this story. But in gameplay terms, there's loads of touches that make you feel like you're in a movie. First of all, probably my favourite, is what the devs have dubbed the Badass Ometer.
Okay.
Which is a behind-the-scenes thing. It's not like a bar on the screen or anything, but the game tracks how much of a badass you are, i.e., if you took out your gun, span it around your finger whilst throwing a clip of ammo in the air, then caught it and reloaded, and then did a headshot, I think the Badass-ometer would go up.
Would explode.
It would explode. It's instantly like just full.
Yeah.
And what this means is it's not like to do with a score or multiplayer or anything. It's to do with the way that the music works in the game. And I should say the game has a very cool soundtrack. So they have kind of taken inspiration from sort of James Bond. They've got a big 70-piece, I think, orchestra that they recorded, original score that they recorded in Air Studios and I think Abbey Road.
Yeah.
And they have mixed that with grime. And this is part of, London and London's culture.
Yeah.
And so they worked extensively with a producer called Z-Dot, and they gave him all the kind of music stems, all the recordings that they'd done, and he took them away and worked with artists to put together these original tracks. There are some like original songs in it, or there are some times where it's just kind of like elements of grime that are mixing with the orchestra and the orchestration. And the way the Badass Ometer works is when you're doing really well, the music kind of ramps up and gets louder, and all these extra grime elements come in, and just a shootout, if it's going very well, becomes like a kind of action set piece in terms of the sound, because it's like, you just have that emotion that music gives you of being incredibly cool when everything's going well. If it's going badly, the music kind of drops out a bit, it becomes more stark. The idea being that you have more opportunity to hear like where your enemies are and things like that. There's very liberal use of slow-mo in the game. In fact, you can press both the move buttons at the same time to initiate a small burst of slow motion, which timed right is just really very good. I was going to chef's kiss then, but then it's not. This isn't a visual medium. So and that has gameplay implications as well, whereby you can, for instance, in a car chase, you can see weak points on enemy vehicles and stuff like that.
Okay, cool.
Kind of highlights things for you.
Yeah.
But it's just super, super cool. And there are massive action sequences in the game. So in the short time I had with it, I did a kind of rooftop run and gun sort of parkour, which then led into a big car chase where I was having to shoot guys off of motorbikes and explode trucks and things, and there was a helicopter that was strafing us.
Oh god, yes.
And I also had to go at a section where you're in a tower block that is being demolished, and it's like charges are detonating and you're running through it, and it all culminates in jumping out of a window and having to grab onto a shipping container that's hanging from a crane.
So just a standard day.
Just a standard day. So I mean, they've gone above and beyond to really get to the DNA of like an action movie and bring it to the game, and it just really, really works. Point number 4 is that the controls are really slick and intuitive. And I think this is like quite a boring sounding point, but I think it's actually really important.
Yeah, definitely.
The big part of feeling like a hero is knowing what you're doing and not fumbling around with controls. So they've got this really, really good slimmed down system where basically with the move motion controllers, the triggers are like pick up or use. So you just, you have hands. You can pick up stuff with them. You can pick up your guns out of your holsters with them, and then the triggers become the triggers of the guns and you're firing the guns. Like, that's all very explanatory. You use the move buttons to move. So they've gone for a kind of system whereby you don't have like total control over your movement all the time. Instead, there are points on the map in front of you, and you choose where to go and when to go there. And once you're there, you can strafe with, you can use, I think it's X and circle. You can use to strafe left and right, so is it like within cover.
You're on, is it like a kind of rails shooter type thing?
So it's like on rails, but you choose when and where to go. So sometimes, you have options. You don't have to go one specific route. But you will, you look at where you want to go and you press the move button and it takes you there. And then once you're there within cover, you can strafe, and you can strafe like over open doors and things, to see around both corners, things like that. There are also some more kind of traditional on-rails moments. I said about doing the rooftop parkour, not worrying about where I am on the roof and jumping over stuff. And it just means that when you're doing an action set piece like that, you could just really enjoy it. And I think there's like less potential for it to go wrong as well.
That's what I want. If I'm doing parkour, somebody else controlling my legs, like, yes please.
Absolutely, it's one of the worst feelings in games where you're doing an amazing set piece and then you mess it up and you die. And you have to go back. And it's like the first time you see this set piece, it's like, oh my god. And then like the third time you're like, oh, I've ruined this a little bit for myself. It's still amazing, but you're like, I wish I could have just got it right one time. And I think by sort of taking that away from you, it's actually really, really clever and works really well. Any time pretty much that you would be able to do something with your hands in the game world, you can do it. So you physically pick up ammo, you find it in the world, you have to reach and pick it up and put it in your ammo belt. You open doors, like you grab onto door handles and open the doors and push them open. You climb ladders, Like I had to literally look up at the rungs and grab them and move up. I crawled on the floor at one point. There's a section in a club where you can get into the DJ booth and you can actually mix the records, and you can also have access to the pyrotechnics and set them all off and stuff like that. I didn't do this. I saw a developer do this. It's insane. An enemy threw a grenade. They caught it in their hand and threw it back. Like they did that themselves. Do you know what I mean? That's they had to hand-eye coordination and everything. Caught a grenade in midair and threw it back. So it's like anytime you can do something with your hands, you're doing it. Including, this is point number 5 now, using the gadgets. And I'm not talking gadgets in like a Bond way. I didn't see any like laser watches or anything mad like that. But just an SAS super soldier has access to stuff like lockpicks. So I picked locks using the gadgets. You have like a kind of a go bag, a sort of contextual go bag that opens up and it has your little tools in. So I got to this door and my go bag opened and I had to get my lock picks in both hands and like actually fiddle about in the lock and do it. And you have to kind of snap up the locking pin at the right time and stuff. I set a breach charge and breached a door. You have to stick it on the door and then you have to turn it and pull out the pin. I ripped out a fuse from a fuse box to open a door. It's like they really like get you involved with doing stuff. It's not just about shooting all the time. And they've worked hard on making the world feel really real. And it's the real joy of VR for me. It's like feeling like you're in a place. And they've like doubled down on that by being able to use the stuff around you. And like it's not just. It all has kind of like a purpose, and it's not just there for show. And they don't take that away from you. They let you do it, and be part of it. It's really, really, very, very cool. So that's my 5 reasons. I have got a bonus, just 6th thing that I learnt.
I'm excited.
It's nothing to do with being an action hero, but it's just very, very cool. So just quickly, because this video is going on very long, there's a safe house in the game, which I think you can access at any time, or at some point you'll unlock it and you can access at any time. And in there you can kind of like look at your things you've collected. You display your collectibles in this safe house. There's like a lockpick challenge and things, but probably most exciting is there's a gun range. You have your own gun range, of course. And within that you can shoot all the different weapons that you've collected and unlocked, including a minigun.
Okay. Yes.
Thank you. Yes, there's a minigun. But you can also equip different attachments that you've unlocked for each weapon. So each weapon has an individual kind of like suite of attachments. And they've made it like a gun bench. So there's like a vice. You have to put your gun in the vice, and then you get these attachments out of like a little suitcase. And like, so you can put on a silencer. You have to screw it on, or you put on a new sight, or and which is just really, really fun. Then you get to try all those out. You get to, you put on your underbarrel grenade launcher, as I mentioned. Maybe more exciting than that is you get to customize your weapon's paint job, and you do that by putting different spray paint cartridges into a paint gun and then spraying your gun. And you just spray. I want to make this clear. You don't have to actually spray every part of the weapon or anything. It kind of helps you out a little bit there. But you can spray like tartan paint, for example. Tartan paint is in the game. And you can spray your guns like that, which is very cool. And also, lastly, there's a timed challenge mode. So these all these enemies pop up and friendlies. You have to avoid them, and you have to be accurate and quick. And it's all timed, and you get points, and there will be leaderboards. It just looked like a lot of fun for a good reason to. The thing is, like, it's because the weapons are so well modeled, and they've used Kevin, the SAS soldier, to help make them. It does take skill to use them, even though they've simplified it and made it easier. Like I said, reloading and the capacity's higher. You still have to aim those weapons well. And so when you're doing like a timed challenge thing, like if you get a good score, it's because you did well. It's not like you can't cheese it. You can't cheat it. And you can't auto lock on or anything. Do you know what I mean? It's just that takes real skill. And so if you can do the whole lot with headshots, I think that's actual bragging rights. Do you know what I mean? It just feels more impressive to me than any in like a kind of a not VR shooter.
Are you setting this up because you did it? And you're like, and I just want to mention.
In fact, I wish I hadn't mentioned it now, because I feel like we're going to have to make that video and see who's best in the office. And I don't know if it will be me.
Oh, God.
But that's confidence for you. Anyway, that is 5 reasons why Blood and Truth makes you feel like the action star. And also a little 6th bonus thing is just some stuff I learned. I had loads and loads of fun playing it. I only got to play the very first bit, and it left me desperately wanting to play more. I hope you've learned something in this video. Let us know in the comments below if you want to know anything more about Blood and Truth, if you're looking forward to playing it, if you're going to get that high score that I definitely won't. Do like this video if you liked it, and please do subscribe so you don't miss anything else from the world of PlayStation.
For the players.